The Long March, October 16, 1934. The embattled Chinese Communists break through nationalist enemy lines and begin an epic flight from their encircled headquarters in southwest China, known as Changcheng. The Long March. The retreat lasted 368 days and covered 6,000 miles, nearly twice the distance from New York to San Francisco. Civil war in China between the nationalists and the communists broke out in 1927. In 1931, Communist leader Mao Zedong was elected chairman of the newly established Soviet Republic of China, based in Kiangzhou province in the southwest. Between 1930 and 1934, the nationalists under Chiang Kai-shek launched a series of 5 encirclement campaigns against the Soviet Republic. Under the leadership of Mao, the Communists employed guerrilla tactics to resist successfully the first 4 campaigns, but in the 5th, Chiang raised 700,000 troops and built fortifications around the communist positions. Hundreds of thousands of peasants were killed or died of starvation in the siege, and Mao was removed as chairman by the Communist Central Committee. The new communist leadership employed more conventional warfare tactics, and its Red Army was decimated. With defeat imminent, the Communists decided to break out of the encirclement at its weakest points. The Long March began at 5 p.m. on October 16, 1934. Secrecy and rearguard actions confused the nationalists, and it was several weeks before they realized that the main body of the Red Army had fled. The retreating force initially consisted of 86,000 troops, 15,000 personnel, and 35 women. Weapons and supplies were borne on men's backs or in horse-drawn carts, and the line of marchers stretched for 50 miles. The Communists generally marched at night, and when the enemy was not near, a long column of torches could be seen snaking over valleys and hills into the distance. The first disaster came in November, when nationalist forces blocked the Communists' route across the Jiang River. It took a week for the Communists to break through the fortifications and cost them 50,000 men, more than half their number. After that debacle, Mao steadily regained his influence, and in January he was again made chairman during a meeting of the party leaders in the captured city of Tsuini. Mao changed strategy, breaking his force into several columns that would take varying paths to confuse the enemy. There would be no more direct assaults on enemy positions, and the destination would now be Shenxi province, in the far northwest, where the Communists hoped to fight the Japanese invaders and earn the respect of China's masses. After enduring starvation, aerial bombardment, and almost daily skirmishes with nationalist forces, Mao halted his columns at the foot of the Great Wall of China on October 20, 1935. Waiting for them were 5 machine gun and red flag bearing horsemen. "Oh, welcome," Chairman Mao once said. "Oh, we represent the Provincial Soviet of Northern Shenxi. We have been waiting for you anxiously. All that we have is at your disposal!" The Long March was over. The Communist marchers crossed 24 rivers and 18 mountain ranges, mostly snow-capped. Only 4,000 troops completed the journey. The majority of those who did not perished. It was the longest continuous march in the history of warfare and marked the emergence of Mao Zedong as the undisputed leader of the Chinese Communists. Learning of the Communists' heroism and determination in the Long March, thousands of young Chinese traveled to Shenxi to enlist in Mao's Red Army. After fighting the Japanese for a decade, the Chinese Civil War resumed in 1945. 4 years later, the nationalists were defeated, and Mao proclaimed the People's Republic of China. He served as chairman until his death in 1976.